Guys, or good afternoon now. Thanks for having me talk, and thank you, Kim, for helping to set this up. I haven't given a talk on this yet, but it's something I really want to share with you guys. I'm going to talk about peace. Now, what is peace? There are many definitions for it. The one I like, and the one I think is most prominent in this world, is that peace is the result of love. And if love were easy, we'd all be good at it. There's two kinds of peace. There's peace among all of us, spreading peace to other people, to other nations, spreading nonviolence, otherwise known as pacifism, which is the belief that nonviolence is the proper way to solve conflict. The second kind of peace is peace from within ourselves. It's a peaceful state of mind, and it's more of a lifestyle to live every day. For Cap Day purposes, I'm going to talk about both, but I'm going to focus this talk more on the second kind of peace, peace from within. So let's get started. Actually, to start off, I'm going to give you guys a little quiz. It's called the $100 quiz. I'm going to list 6 names. And if you know the names of all these people, tell me a little bit about them, what they did or what they're known for. I'm going to give you $100. I have it right here. 520s. Don't ask me how I got it. I have my ways. I notice you guys are all focused all of a sudden. All right. All of the business majors, all of us capitalists. Here we go. Here's your opportunity. First name. Who is Robert E. Lee? Yeah, who's that? Charlie?
Yeah.
Hey.
Robert E. Lee was also known as the gentleman's general, but he was the general of the South. He was offered to fight for the North, but then had to stay loyal to the South. So he was there during the Civil War.
Excellent. Give her a round of applause. Good, good. Next name. Let's go international. Who is Napoleon? Ashley?
He was like, I don't know for sure. But he was a leader of like the French Revolution.
Yeah, that's good, that's good. I'll give you that. Good, good, good. Round of applause. Good. All right. We're 2 for 2. All right. Let's see. Who is Ulysses S. Grant? Ulysses S. Grant? Martha?
He was a military person.
I'll take that. Yes. Round of applause. One more time. Yeah, during the Civil War. And he was a president. Good.
Yeah.
Good, good, good. All right. Next name. Who is Emily Balch? No hands on Emily Balch. She was a professor, taught at Wellesley College. Very good professor, down to earth. She was known for pushing her students to succeed not just in the classroom and in the library, but out into the real world as well. She wanted her students to get out there and experience the world and the problems firsthand. She won the Nobel Peace Prize in 1946, and she helped found the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. She had a crazy radical idea that women ought to be not just homemakers, but also peacemakers. She was largely dismissed for that comment. We could spend a whole semester on the life and times of Emily Balch. That was her. Next name, who is Jane Addams? Jane Addams. Yeah?
She believed that she created centers for children that were the children of laborers so that they weren't forced to like wander the streets and things.
That is great. Hey, give her a round of applause. There you go. That's how you do it. Yes, Jane Addams. I'm just going to elaborate a little more. She helped with the poor and immigrants to make sure they always had a place to stay. And she helped get children out of the workforce because of safety hazards during the Industrial Revolution. And she also won the Nobel Peace Prize. I believe she was the second woman to do so. And she also helped found the Women's International League for Peace and Freedom. So that was Jane Addams. Last name. Who is Jody Williams? Jody Williams. She helped with the landmine campaign in El Salvador in the 1990s. She helped eliminate all landmines. and she later did some more humanitarian work and helped really ban the use, the production, and the sale of landmines. That's what she was known for. So, what does this mean? We know a lot about the men who break the peace, but not a lot about the women who make the peace, unless you're Jenna Khan. It's not your fault. You don't know about these people because you've been going to conventional schools where we teach you everything but. Want me to back up that claim? Let me ask you 2 questions. How many of you went to a school where they offered you courses in algebra and geometry? All right. How many of you went to a school where they offered you courses in peace studies? If this was a peaceful, loving society, every hand would have gone up. But listen, don't feel bad about flunking the quiz. It won't tarnish your 4.0 GPA or anything like that. And again, we haven't been taught it. So, I'm going to ask you guys 5 questions. Put your hand up for each one, if this applies to you. How many of you have food in your fridge, clothes on your back, a place to sleep, and a roof over your head? All right. How many of you have money in your wallet, money in your bank account, and a little spare change? Okay. How many of you can read? Okay. How many of you woke up today with more health than illness? Okay. Last question. How many of you have never experienced the danger of battle, the agony of imprisonment or torture, or the pangs of starvation? I notice almost most all hands went up for all of those. Well, congratulations, because you are then richer than 75% of the world. You are among the top 8% of the world's wealthy. You are more fortunate than the 3 billion people who cannot read around the world. You are more blessed than the 500 million people who will not survive because they're alive and suffering. And you are luckier than the 1 million people who will not survive this week. All because of those questions. So what can we do in our position? We won the birth lottery. The odds were against us, about 26-1. And we're in great position to help people. I believe that in life there's no higher purpose than service to others. And in this life there's a lot of violence in the world. Legal violence, illegal violence, military violence, homophobic violence, racial violence, sexual violence. The list goes on. All right. So, that was my segue into the second type of peace, which is what I'm going to talk about now, which is, again, peace from within. So, I'm going to talk about mindfulness. And when I first heard about mindfulness, I thought it's just another live in the moment mumbo jumbo, and kind of cast it off. I've heard that so many times. But once I started actually practicing mindfulness, making it a habit and a lifestyle, I can say it's done wonders for me, guys. And that's why I want to share it with you guys. So, what is mindfulness? There's a few definitions. I like to say that it's living in the moment free of judgment, meaning you're settling into life. You're not resisting it as much. And there are also many benefits to this kind of thinking and this type of lifestyle. I'll touch on these more, but it can help avoid needless anxiety and depression. You can lower your blood pressure. A lot of these are physiological changes. Increase stamina, meaning you can follow through with what you're doing, follow through with your task and stay with it. You get better sleep. That's the thing with mindfulness, is that everything will be enhanced, all of your senses. The food will taste a little better. The sleep will feel a little better. Concentration will feel a little better and more focused. And then, of course, less pronounced mood swings. So I realize I'm walking in front of So less pronounced mood swings, meaning you'll be able to just be in this middle ground moment more of the time. You won't be so extreme. You won't burst out or show, I don't want to say freak out, but show a drastic negative emotion and then the other way. You know, you'll be more settled in and just comfortable with yourself. That's the main word I'd use, is comfortable. You're comfortable with life. A lot of people are uncomfortable right now because we fear the past and we fear the future. And those are the two places out of our control. So, mindfulness stresses that even though we might fear the future, it's important to live within that uncertainty, within the unpredictable. You see, I want to talk about one more thing. Action is an expression of the body, which exists in the here and now. But the mind is like a phantom, lives in the past and in the future. Its only power over you is to draw you out of the present moment. That's the only thing that matters, because it's all we have. I'll get to this exercise in a second. Just want to make sure I've touched on everything. Give me 1 minute. Okay. So mindfulness is a practice, it's an art, and it's a lifestyle. It's a practice because, like anything, it takes hard work and time to get good at it, repetition. It's an art because there's many mediums for mindfulness, lots of meditative states to be in. A lot of it has to do with your breathing, actually. This is what I'm learning and what I'm practicing, is that we can control our stress level through breathing. Stress is what happens when the mind resists what is. Meaning, stress is all about what just happened or what might happen. Gee, I really didn't do so well on my last test. When I asked that person out, they said this and that meant that. Or last time I played football, I didn't make the catch. The past has your control now. The past controls you now. Same with the future. Gee, I really hope I do well on this quiz. I really hope the person says yes that I asked out. I really hope I catch this football. These are just examples, obviously. So now the future has your control. Mindfulness, again, it's an art. It's also a lifestyle because it's savoring each moment. It's acknowledging that, one thing we tend to do is we think there's a bad thing that could happen. That's the only option, is that bad outcome. And you're right, it could happen, but that's just it. It could happen. That's one possible outcome. It might not happen. I think of the Cold War as a great example of this. There was so much tension in the 20th century, later half, between the US and the Soviet Union. People thought the war would break out. We'd be in this flaming, big time war. But it didn't happen. People thought that Obama would be a single-term president. But it didn't happen. Nothing in life is certain, except for the inevitable death and taxes, and that the Redskins will, in all likelihood, continue to disappoint their devoted fans. So now I want to do a little exercise with you guys. How am I doing on time? Okay. Let's see. Because I know it's hard, these are all words, and it's like, you may have heard something like this before, but I want us to at least try to experience mindfulness right now. So, you can close your eyes or you can keep them open, but I'm going to read something out of this book. I think it helps actually if you close your eyes to think about what I'm telling you. So, either one. Here we go. Raise your awareness of self, surroundings, or being in this very moment. Do this by simply or with difficulty holding yourself in the present moment. Try breathing in, inhaling, and exhaling. Notice your chest contract and expand with each inhale and each exhale. Gently focus your ever restless and quite naturally human mind on the present. experience the now of it all. As you do this, for instance, by just listening, gently and intentionally bring your attention to the sounds that you can detect around you. They might be the sounds of traffic, mechanical sounds, people sounds. Try to become aware of these oral experiences without making an effort to hear them. Let the sounds just come to you. Paying attention to these sounds will help define your present in this moment existence. Try not to listen to the sounds looking for meaning or intent. Just let the sounds fall on your ears. Or, if there are no sounds to hear, then focus on the silence. While you do this, remember to focus on your breathing. As you inhale, as you exhale, your chest rises. Allow your attention to this auditory sensory experience to be an introduction, an entry point into your mindful present. If you should find yourself paying attention to the sounds in an interpretive way, attempting to make sense of the sounds that are falling on your ears, gently draw yourself back to a more simple awareness of your present and accept the fact that it is in the nature of humans to do that. Our minds wander. We are highly distractible creatures, and we have a natural tendency to be drawn away from a mindful state. The key to success with this exercise is in practice and in repetition. Open your eyes. So, I've never tried this with a big group of people before, but what did you guys feel and how do you feel now, if you don't mind sharing? If you don't have to even feel different. Kim?
I feel a lot more relaxed after this. I mean, it was really hard to, at first, like completely relax, and then I think you just have you have like a very soothing voice. So I think that helped too. Like you were very good at speaking, and so that helped because like at the beginning I was like, okay, like can't clear my mind, but and a lot more relaxed, and I think it was a good exercise.
Yeah, it's tough because we feel like antsy at first,
Yeah.
just it's hard to settle in. That's totally natural. Anyone else want to share how they feel or, yeah, Audrey?
It's also really grounding. I mean, I love exercise like these because I have a lot of anxiety, and so it just like brings you back to the moment and lets you not focus on like your own anxiety and just realize that you're in the present. It's very grounding. So
Yeah.
I agree.
That's a good way to put it. It is grounding. Anyone else like to share? Paige.
I felt like more observant. Like, I mean, this sounds stupid, but like, I don't know, the air conditioning, like, you can hear it, and, like, cracks in the wall and stuff. And,
Yeah.
Like, not that I have to notice those things, like, every day, but just,
Right.
like, practicing seeing things that you wouldn't necessarily otherwise see.
Yeah, it's these little things that you just pay attention to because one of the points of this exercise is to experience where you are right now through your senses, you know. It's not about your mind trying to interpret what you're sensing, you're just sensing. There's that saying that the birth of the mind is the death of the senses. Meaning we fail to notice like those little things in the wall cracking, or the sound of this computer, or the coldness or warmness of the seat we're on. There was a point in our lives when we weren't like how we are right now. There was a point when we were mindful, when we were at peace, when we indulged in simple pleasures and experienced the world solely through our senses. Does anyone know at what point in our lives we were like this? Maggie?
We were babies.
We were babies, yeah. If you ever want to know how to be happy or live in the moment, study a baby. Babies are the ultimate teachers in this sense. You can set a baby down on a pillow and it'll be like, oh, this is nice, this is fluffy and soft. They don't have the mental capacity to develop words. As we grow older, we become bored with things because we learn words. That's a table, this is a head, that's a shoe. Everything just, we need more. We're over that. Babies aren't over that because they don't have words for things. They experience everything through their senses, through smelling, through touching, through taste, through hearing, through seeing. So study a baby. The other thing about babies I want to touch on, check my notes really quick, is that when a baby is upset, it'll unleash a banshee of a wail, you know, that crying. It doesn't think about whether it should be crying, it just cries. Same with if it's angry. The baby will let you know if it's angry. The baby will let you know when it's at peace and at rest too, when you nurture it and hold it. Babies don't put up a front, in other words. They show you exactly how they're feeling. So babies are fine teachers. One more thing about mindfulness I want to touch on is that there are millions of thoughts that go through our heads each day, right? Random thoughts. Our minds are overflowed right now, in my opinion. To enter a more mindful state, we need to empty them. We need to shrink them. And we can do that. Because thoughts, that's all they are. They're thoughts. No more real than a shadow of a shadow. You know? That's why I always say, you can believe whatever you believe, but until you behave a certain way, you haven't affected anyone. It's all up here. This doesn't affect the world unless you act afterwards. So let's see. I'm just going to share a couple books with you guys. That exercise that I did with you guys is from this book, Mindfulness in a New York Minute. If you want to know more about mindfulness, this is a great tool. It's only 45 pages long, which is kind of the point. It gets right to the point. There's no waste, you know. So I read this one a lot. There's exercises in it. It's in like a Q&A format, so it's like, it'll be like, what do you mean I should experience the negative parts of life too? Isn't that bad? And it'll say, you know, yes, because then you can learn from them or something. I forget exactly what the reasoning is, but this is a great tool and a resource I consult a lot. I want to talk about this book for a little bit. This is Way of the Peaceful Warrior by Dan Millman. This one talks about a lot. I don't think it says mindfulness once in the whole book, but it's similar. It talks about more like letting go of your mind and how like the mind is the enemy because the mind gets in the way of sensory experience, which is what I've been touching on, is experiencing life through senses. And there's, I don't know if I have internet access, but there was a clip, that I wanted to show you guys. Oh, good. I think it worked. I don't know if you'll be able to hear it, but I'll tell you. Here, let me just give you some context. So, this book, Way of the Peaceful Warrior, it's about this guy named Dan Millman, who's also the author. He's a gymnast, and he's a real hothead. He doesn't care for his friends. He's just really focused on his gymnastics. And he met this kind of weird guy at a gas station who's played by Nick Nolte. And Nick Nolte's been teaching Dan about like how to live more in the moment. So he said he wants to meet him at a bridge to teach him something. He doesn't know why he wants to meet him at the bridge, but we're about to find out. You really can't see this. I'll tell you what happens if you can't hear it. All right, so I'm sure not all of you heard that. In fact, most of you probably didn't, because it's hard to hear. But he pushed him off a bridge because he wanted Dan to experience life fully with 100% of his attention devoted to the present. And so next time someone asks you, would you jump off a bridge, say yeah, because you want to live in the moment, right? So that was bad. Is this PowerPoint? No, of course.
Is it in the other tab?
Oh yeah. Yeah. Okay. So, okay. I'm going to talk about happiness. Sorry, am I getting through my time limit?
You're good.
Okay. I'm covering a lot. Okay, so one thing that Way of the Peaceful Warrior also talks about is happiness and how to be happy. And I was just talking about how, we get bored as we get older. We seek more. We become less content with simple things like reading or watching a movie. We need a drink in our hands while we watch the movie. We need to be dancing and I just go back to drinking a lot. We need to be drinking while we listen to music because we live in a very alcohol-induced culture, But the secret to happiness this book preaches is that it's not about seeking more, but developing the capacity to enjoy less. And here's what I mean with an example. Bob needs 3 things to be happy. He needs his 2 best friends, he needs a movie, and he needs a good night's rest of sleep. All in one night, and he's good. But Sally needs 7 things to be happy. She needs her squad of 5 to 10 people. She needs her leather boots, the fur coat, a salad without the dressing on the side. She needs good music. She needs 80 likes on her Instagram. And to top it all off, 4 shots of Malibu. So Bob needs 3 things to be happy. Sally needs 7. Sally has developed a higher capacity for happiness to reach that threshold of happy. If Bob gets his 3 things, everything after that is just extra. It's like the cherry on top. Of course, this is just an example. I don't even know if those things make people happy, but the point is we're always seeking more. But if you can find a way to develop this capacity to enjoy much less, then I can't tell you how important that has been for me. It's been a great transformation of giving things up. And again, the book talks more about it than me. I'm just giving you all an introduction. So this book goes back to Pacifism, the first kind of peace. It's called Solutions to Violence. It's by Colin McCarthy. This is where you can find Jane Addams or Emily Balch or Jody Williams or Leo Tolstoy, Alfie Kohn, Martin Luther King Jr., Gandhi. Some of those names you probably heard of, some of them you haven't. Again, we don't teach this side of history. It's a whole other side of history. It's out there, but we don't teach it. And this was edited by a man named Coleman McCarthy, who was my biggest influence. This is me at my high school graduation party thing, and Coleman McCarthy is on the right. He was my peace studies teacher in high school, and he was the biggest influence. He's like, you'll never meet anyone like him if you ever get the chance to meet him. He's a vegan, he's an anarchist, he sticks with his viewpoint, but in the most peaceful way. He's not showboaty at all. He doesn't tell you what to believe, but he still changed me. It's really an unusual, special kind of connection I've had with this guy. And the symbol we're giving, I was like, let's give the peace symbol, and he goes, Michael, he calls me Michael. Michael, in this life, you need peace, but you need a little more. And he stuck out his pinky, so a little more hope. So that's the peace with a little more sign. If you want to do that. It's kind of like the Vulcan thing, but yeah, like that. So, I'm almost done. I just want to ask you guys 4 more questions, okay? Because people always ask, peace is a nice idea, but it's kind of a fantasy. It's an out there concept. There's no way we could have peace, right? I mean, how can I become a peacemaker? I'm going to ask you guys 4 questions. Raise your hand up again for each one, if this applies to you. How many of you want to decrease cruelty in the world? Anyone want to increase cruelty? Okay, no hands, good. How many of you want to reduce global warming? Yeah. How many of you want to decrease world hunger? Yeah, okay. How many of you want to save a little money? Okay. What's the answer? How do we do it? Stop eating meat. Stop eating meat and you'll do it. I learned this over the summer. 80% of the corn in America is fed to animals, while there are 40,000 people a day who die of hunger and malnutrition. Global warming is increased by animal agriculture. Lots of pollution goes into rivers, goes into the air, and I think over half, it's the leading cause of global warming and pollution, is over half of all global greenhouse gases come from the production of meat. I didn't know that, but I learned through some of these books and just like other articles I read. So I stopped eating meat over the summer. It's been a slow kind of progression, but it's a nice, again, it also goes back to that simple living concept of just like, what can I get out of my life? Not what can I seek more of, what can I stop doing? And that's, you can debate the death penalty, you can debate our military budget, but every day we make choices. And I think that's important to remember. So, last slide. You ever meet a good person and you wonder to yourself, how'd they get that way? How'd they get to be a good person? They're just the best, Hardly any negative part about them. How are they peaceful? Well, Mother Teresa said it best in her Do It Anyway passage, which I'm going to read to you guys to conclude my speech. People are often unreasonable, irrational, and self-centered. Forgive them anyway. If you are kind, people may accuse you of selfish, ulterior motives. Be kind anyway. If you are successful, you will win some unfaithful friends and some genuine enemies. Succeed anyway. If you are honest and sincere, people may deceive you. Be honest and sincere anyway. What you spend years creating, others could destroy overnight. Create anyway. If you find serenity and happiness, some may be jealous. Be happy anyway. The good you do today will often be forgotten. Do good anyway. Give the best you have and it will never be enough. Give your best anyway. Thanks a lot, guys. All right. Last, I hope you guys disagreed with a little bit about what I said because I don't know, it's kind of touchy material, some of this, and it'd be kind of weird if you agreed with everything I said, but you know, come up with your own answers. You know, we're told that we have to seek answers from experts, from doctors, from other self-proclaimed experts, because people are afraid to look inside themselves, and that's the only place where you're going to find what you need. I'm not saying don't see a doctor, but the decision to do so should come from within. So yeah, any questions before I leave? Okay, again, if you want to know more about these
There's a
books.
question.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, Charlie.
Okay, I just have a comment. Also, a really great for everybody. It's a documentary called Forks Over Knives. I don't know if you've heard of it, but when you got me on the vegetarian thing, man, I was hyped. But so if you want, there's like a cookbook, and it's all technically vegan, but it's all like regular food. It's not like you have to like actually do like hard stuff to have it. But Forks Over Knife also like has that whole like this is what we could be doing for the environment for everybody, and it's like a peace promoting. Like just something if you want to look into it, it's really cool.
Okay.
So,
Forks over.
Yeah.
You guys know that too. Okay. Any other things? Any clarification, comments, concerns? Okay, hit me up if you want the books. Thanks.